Right, get ready to bundle up because today we're going to diving into something pretty wild.
Yeah,
Babies napping outside in
outside.
freezing temps.
Yeah, you got it.
We're talking Scandinavian countries where parents put their little ones down for a nap,
Out in the snow.
right out in the elements.
That's true.
So we found this Reddit Tialo post.
Oh, yeah,
It's gotten a ton of attention.
I bet.
And there's this BBC article that really digs into it.
Cool.
So why do they do it?
It's fascinating.
Is it
Jen.
safe?
Well,
And do the babies actually sleep better in the cold? That's what we're going to find out today.
all right, let's get started.
So first things first.
Yeah.
How long has this been going on?
Well, outdoor napping, it's not new. It's been a part of Scandinavian culture for a long time,
Like how long?
at least since the 1950s.
Wow, that's a while.
And for a lot of people, it just seems so strange.
It's definitely not something you see every day.
Not at all.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
Why do Scandinavian parents do this?
Well, the BBC article tells this story of a Swedish mom, Lisa, and her family has been doing this for 3 generations.
3 generations.
Grandma, mom, baby.
It's just normal for them.
Totally.
But it's not just families, right?
Nope.
The BBC article mentioned daycare centers too.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them in Sweden, they encourage outdoor naps.
Rows and rows of prams just parked outside in the snow.
I can't even imagine.
And some preschools, they even have outdoor-only groups.
So the kids are outside all day.
Pretty much.
Now, I know what you're thinking.
Well.
Safety.
Of course.
And Scandinavian parents are actually super careful,
They really are.
especially when it comes to these outdoor naps.
Exactly.
So both the Reddit post and the BBC article, they talk a lot about the right clothing,
Oh, yeah. Here.
layers of wool, warm clothes,
And those insulated prams.
or the sleeping bags.
Yeah, like little baby burritos.
So how do you know if the baby is warm enough?
Well, there's a trick.
Okay.
Their hands might be a little cold, but their neck's gotta be warm.
So you got to check the neck
Yeah, and parents and daycare staff, they check on the babies all the time.
to make sure they're okay.
Absolutely.
The BBC article even had this Swedish saying,
Oh, what's up?
there is no bad weather, only bad clothing.
I love that.
It's not just about being practical, it's like a whole philosophy.
They really embrace the outdoors no matter what.
Well, not everyone feels that way.
They're true.
I mean, one Reddit commenter was totally shocked.
What happened?
Their colleague brought her baby to a work meeting,
Okay, normal so far.
then put the stroller outside for a nap.
During a snowstorm?
Yeah, a full-on snowstorm.
Wow.
Talk about a culture clash.
Right. But you have to remember, Scandinavia has a lot of social trust.
And a really strong safety net.
Yeah, in other parts of the world, people would be freaking out.
Kidnapping, accidents, all that
Exactly.
makes you think,
It does.
is that sense of security why this tradition even exists?
Could be.
So it's cultural, but is there any science to back this up?
Good question.
The BBC article talked about Scandinavians believing in fresh air.
They think it helps the immune system.
Right.
And actually, there's some research on this.
Really?
Finnish researchers found that babies actually sleep longer outside.
Longer.
Yeah,
How much longer?
like an hour and a half longer
Wow.
compared to babies napping inside.
That's a big difference.
It is.
So why though?
Well, they think it might be because of the warm clothes.
Restricting their movement.
Exactly, like all bundled up.
Less tossing and turning.
And the cold itself might play a role. They
Interesting.
even found the best temperature for an outdoor nap.
What is it?
-5 Celsius.
That's freezing.
It is.
So are all Scandinavian parents putting their babies out in that kind of cold?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
-5 is like the sweet spot.
But the BBC article mentions some parents go even colder.
Like -30.
-30?
Yep.
That's insane.
But remember, lots of layers, those special prams.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. But what about fresh air preventing colds?
Ah, that's where it gets tricky.
How so?
Well, the BBC article mentioned the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
They did some research and found no proof that more outdoor time means fewer sick days.
So it's not a guarantee.
Nope, the science is still out on that one.
So we've got cultural beliefs, personal stories, and some science.
All pointing to possible benefits.
What stands out to you?
The connection between cold and sleep.
Yeah.
Babies sleep longer and better in the cold. Why is that?
Is it just the clothes, or is there something else going on?
Maybe it's something deeper.
It makes you wonder if cold affects adults the same way.
That's a really interesting question.
And one we'll have to keep exploring.
Absolutely.
Okay, so those Scandinavian babies, they're sleeping great in the cold.
Yeah.
Could there be more to it than just a cultural thing?
Maybe.
Like actual benefits from being out in the cold?
It's possible.
The BBC article, it mentioned this study,
Oh, yeah.
cold exposure, it can change how our bodies use fat.
Interesting.
It's kind of complicated.
Yeah, but basically our bodies, they could adapt.
And even benefit from being cold.
Exactly, instead of shivering and trying to stay warm.
Our bodies, they learn to work with the cold.
It's like a different approach.
Makes you think about our ancestors.
Right.
They lived in way colder places than we do.
No central heating back then.
They had to be tough.
To survive.
So maybe we've gotten too soft.
All this temperature control?
Are we missing something?
Maybe these Scandinavian parents are tapping into something ancient.
Like something in our genes.
Our bodies, they might still have that ability to adapt.
Even if we don't use it much anymore.
It's fascinating.
So maybe those outdoor naps,
Yeah.
it's not just about sleep?
Could be about building resilience.
Right from the start.
It's a cool idea.
A whole new way to think about cold.
But not everyone agrees.
Yeah, the Reddit thread has some strong opinions.
What did they say?
Some people loved it.
The common sense approach.
Others were worried.
About the risks.
Too cold for babies.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
So it's important to think critically. Weigh the pros and cons.
Look at all sides.
And make informed decisions.
Based on the evidence.
We also got to be realistic.
True.
Not everyone can just put their baby outside for a nap.
Right. Different places, different norms.
Imagine trying this in a big city.
Limited space. Safety worries.
It wouldn't work everywhere.
Cultural practices, they depend on so many things.
So even if we're not all having snowy naps,
Yeah,
there's still stuff to learn from this Scandinavian thing.
for sure.
It makes us question what's normal.
And think about fresh air, even when it's cold.
So what can we do?
Those Reddit comments, they mentioned something.
What's that?
People sleep with their windows open, even in winter.
For better sleep.
They swear by it.
I've heard that too.
It's a more approachable way to try it out.
Maybe that's their version of a cold plunge.
Exactly. Find what works for you.
And push your comfort zone a little.
Who knows? Maybe you'll end up loving those cold naps. Maybe not that far.
But it's great to explore.
This whole idea of cold being good for you?
I've definitely started rethinking things.
Me too. These deep dives.
They really make you think.
Challenge what we believe.
Open up new perspectives.
And leave us with even more questions.
But that's what makes it fun.
It's a journey.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this chilly conversation,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember
Keep an open mind.
about the outdoor napping?
It shows us there's more than one way to do things.
More than one way to be healthy.
It's about exploring different approaches.
And maybe even embracing the cold.
A little bit.
Who knows? Maybe outdoor baby naps will catch on here.
It could happen.
But the bigger point,
Is to be curious.
look at the science.
And don't be afraid to question what we think we know.
Love that, this deep dive. It's been thought-provoking.
Made me rethink my relationship with winter.
Me too.
So to everyone listening,
Yeah.
stay curious, keep exploring.
And maybe give that open window sleep a try.
You know, it's kind of crazy how we try to stay perfectly warm all the time.
Yeah,
Like we're always avoiding the cold.
it's true.
Maybe that's not such a good thing.
Well, there's a lot of research on this.
On being in nature.
Yeah, for our minds and bodies.
Most of it focuses on like warm weather.
Green spaces, sunshine.
But maybe there's something to this cold exposure too.
There could be.
Like what if avoiding the cold actually makes us weaker?
That's a really interesting question.
Less resilient?
It's possible.
Think about those Scandinavian ice swimmers.
Oh yeah, the cold plunges.
It's getting pretty popular.
People say it has all these benefits.
Like what?
Better circulation, less inflammation.
I've heard it can help your mood too.
Yeah, mental clarity.
I know some people who swear by it.
They say it's invigorating.
It's like a shock to the system.
But in a good way.
Maybe it wakes us up,
Maybe literally.
so we're not all going to jump on a frozen lake.
Right.
But are there other ways to get that cold exposure?
More manageable ways.
Like those Reddit commenters, sleeping with the windows open,
Even in winter.
their own little cold plunge.
Maybe.
It's about finding what works for you
Exactly.
and pushing your boundaries a little.
See what you could handle.
So big picture,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
Keep an open mind.
About the babies in the snow.
It's not just about that, but it shows us
There are different ways of thinking.
about health, about what's normal.
Maybe we need to question some of our assumptions.
It's made me rethink my own relationship with the cold.
Me too.
So to everyone listening,
Stay curious.
keep exploring.
And maybe
Embrace the cold a little.
you never know what you might discover.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks for joining us.
And we'll see you on the next deep dive.